So we've made it all the way to Ephesians chapter 3. And in Ephesians chapter 3, Paul does something very, very interesting. He starts out in verse 1. He says, "When I think of all this, I, Paul, a prisoner of Christ Jesus, for the benefit of you Gentiles." And then he opens a parenthesis. And from verse 2 to verse 13, he changes totally his train of thought. When he comes back in verse 14, he says, "Now when I think of all this, I fall to my knees and pray to the Father." That's what he was going to say in verse 1. But he said, "Paul, a prisoner of Christ Jesus for the benefit of you Gentiles." And then he stops and he says, "Do you understand what I mean when I say for the benefit of the Gentiles?" So let's look at 2 to 7 here. Assuming, by the way, that you know God gave me the special responsibility of extending his grace to you Gentiles. As I briefly wrote earlier, God himself revealed his mysterious plan to me. As you read what I've written, you'll understand my insight into this plan regarding Christ. God did not reveal it to previous generations, but now, by his Spirit, he has revealed it to his holy apostles and prophets. And this is God's plan. Both Gentiles and Jews who believe the good news share equally in the riches inherited by God's children. Both are part of the same body. Both enjoy the promise of blessings because they belong to Christ Jesus. By God's grace and mighty power, I've been given the privilege of serving him by spreading this good news. So Paul talks about a mystery. In the sermon on Sunday, we're going to talk a little bit more about that mystery. But he says the mystery is not supposed to be unknown. It's something that I want to share with you. And the mystery is this in verse 6. Both Gentiles and Jews who believe the good news share equally in the riches inherited by God's children. The mystery that Paul is talking about is the mystery of the two people becoming one. For us today, part of the function of culture that we live in today, that any culture lives in, is culture are boundaries that are set up that help us know who belongs and who doesn't belong, who we accept and who we reject, who we love and who we hate. That's what culture does. Part of what Paul is saying is that there is a new culture. God has created a new people. Now, instead of Jew and Greek, now we talk about Christian and those who are not yet Christian but need to be. Those are the only two divisions that Paul is interested in. Today, who do you know who is not yet a Christian but needs to be? Who can you reach out today who is different from you? It's easy to reach out to people that are similar to us. Strike up a conversation, share Jesus with them. But what about people who are significantly different from us? Whether it be by age, by race, by gender, there are hundreds of ways that we distinguish ourselves from other people. Today, start thinking and praying about a person that you can befriend who is significantly different from you. Tomorrow and on Sunday, we're going to talk about what to do about that person. See you tomorrow.